Yeah. Egress roof access window, some kind of an access. Yes. I find that there's no lock. Jumping jack things, I don't know.
We're talking about tiny houses, and that's not tiny houses.
Yes.
These are stairs.
No.
We're talking about.
I don't believe so.
I mean, even if you gotta do 90, that's okay.
One ring eating me.
Nation, under God, indivisible.
No. Alice?
Others who may wish to provide public comment? Anything on, approve and deny,
I'll second the motion.
approve or deny the recommendation to the city council for Annette Britta store selling vintage items, collectibles, objecting.
7, yeah. You would appreciate a limit on traffic in the alley, and I could.
The parking.
On the lot, plus we got street parking.
We've had before where, isn't that what a temporary
Yeah.
permit is?
Or- But she's,
Right across from the pizza place, and the front on Spring Street, but there isn't one on Main.
To and from the highway, it's just directly.
150. Oh, did it?
Just an oversight that makes some of the really nice signs.
Make a motion?
I move that we approve the conditional use permit.
Code Title 15.
Here's my concern about this. Relaxes various requirements in the body of the code as they apply to houses that are functional residential code. I don't
That-
know one.
I can answer that for you. Appendices separately of the code book, National Building Code and the International.
Says amending city code to a specific section where we adopt the international residential code in.
12 or 13, when the code is automatically adopted,
Right.
so we don't have to. I would rather have, let's go over with this body. There was no part in,
It's written wrong on problem with it all. I just want to make sure
We've got.
make any decisions about it today. I do have them all. Hold up.
Certain square footage.
400 square.
Foot. And as I read through this,
part of in that appendix,
yes.
houses. And you going on it can be on wheels to include some of the stuff that.
Sound like I'm talking down. So doesn't present a new, if your dwelling regulations apply to houses.
Well, we already discussed that. That's the front door. Be some way out of that loft.
Many inches high, and yet,
That's some of the things that we need to massage.
okay, and I haven't,
Okay, the specific ordinance,
Yeah,
correct?
now it relaxes certain code requirements from regularly built as they were. It's either 115 or 187 to it or anything that we want. If we've already, and it sounds like, and I've gotten to the appendix.
Same time.
Right.
Let's make it Queens.
And they've adopted it word for word.
Which I talked a little bit to Ken about, but want, just concrete, or
So I guess my question for you, National Residential Code?
we would need to add it to the appendix.
No, as of right now,
Home. I mean,
and water.
well, has to have a toilet. And that's one of the reasons that I have, we want to make sure we do it right the first time.
Which is what we're kind of maybe looking at.
Correct. And our residential in section 15,
How many of those lots do we have that do not meet that?
goes to new development.
Okay, now.
That's
so-
in section 15.
So
You can.
you can.
Uh, Well, we don't do subdivisions if we can help it. If it's 4 or less lots to build on,
Okay, but we're, okay. Because we're talking about small lots and then I want to make four-wheeler, my,
can't have a garage with it.
A modular home, put it on a permanent foundation, and that's going to be okay because it'll fall under tiny homes? Or does that fall under mobile homes? or
No,
manufactured homes?
it can be a time, right now, our building code does not. Now, if,
would be considered a tiny
yeah,
home.
if that's what we want to do.
100 square feet or 700. Lack certain requirements of building requirements, and anything less.
And it's home there. But,
Utility hookups is kind of a given, but
and I'll drop a draw.
Let's say I own a property and and I went through the proper, it's all separated.
If that's,
So that would actually violate zoning ordinances rather, and we would have to either create, that's kind of a zoning problem rather than a building.
A single one on each lot when it was out there.
I'm not following under fruitation, but that's going to,
because I'm like a casita for an aging, actually be 2 units.
I don't know if that technically violate.
law or mother-in-law get a conditional use.
Well, we,
It's kind, and I can't believe this has never come up even. So I'm just kind of concerned.
I don't know, I mean, since I've worked for the city, our zoning laws, I don't
Property for the owner of the property.
you know, our,
know, right? You could build a 1,200 square, separate from the zones of a certain building. We're talking about land. And so I think that's more of a houses.
Okay, and it's in 15, the zone is stated about even,
Building, correct?
I mean, the question
I don't know what
is,
the
right,
rules are
because
in that.
we do. But it comes down to auxiliary building required. So you can always do that. They say, listen, it's not being used as an auxiliary building. That violates.
sets right now the owners, so to speak, on that property. If I want to,
Out on one property, one dwelling, it was just a temporary one where they come every couple weeks or something. And I don't mind use it or whatever. If it's a
it
permanent,
has to be a relative,
no.
Conditional use permit, but,
a residence.
what's,
and things happen.
It'd be,
so why
Homes.
kill?
that's what we're here for, is to
These for people to live here.
Correct.
The appendix.
include is,
You know, they have a septic tank on there.
in order to have a septic system,
Your home there, can I use septic tank? I'm in the city of Caliente. Can I use a septic tank for my tiny home? Well, okay.
Septic tank to the front so that if they ever understand the future,
line to my property line.
per property owner, 5 years, you have to pay for half of the expense.
Well, they'll
What do you call it? Inches vertical and 12 inches what unit you use.
400 square feet's pretty small. I'd like,
Or 600? It's just Joanne and I live in there, you know.
Well, one of the problems too, so. A lot of the things, because it's an inspection, 400 is small, yeah.
20 by 20 is at 400, 400,
that's really small.
that's,
Category for just a single dwelling on the,
Tiny house.
it's a big
You
thing.
get on,
most people are putting, the cities and stuff are building tiny, a door and maybe, you know,
discuss this all night, but a bit. There are some good things about it. It's gonna happen. If we're gonna
modular, I mean,
change it, but let's,
and I agree the most about this whole thing, of that
well,
ordinance. I
we
would
don't
want the
have
whole
to, we don't have
information.
what it says on the,
Today's definite residents under 400,
as another, under another one, A or whatever.
you know, you gotta read this and that.
If we wanna change and add another,
Well, you could maybe just write, I don't know, or this, and then you gotta remember this, and then you go to this, and then.
we're going to want to,
So I'd like
we,
to,
we keep talking about separate buildings.
Unless you put a hall,
10 feet.
that's what I mean, so I wouldn't need a special.
address it, or maybe, that.
Talking
I'm
about
looking at
whatever you
you.
can 0, 1,
Yeah, building.
yeah.
That-
We're also talking, allow to the
Apply the setbacks from the rear of the property.
main building code. So I don't know that we should address that. And
But Ken would have to answer that when he.
We wanna do it right first.
I'm gonna do inspector report.
CDBG to make a decision.
They're just approving.
That's where it's at right.
Sure.
No, it's not. That's not.
Do we know what
I
he's
wish
doing?
you-
Nope, it's not in the city, so we don't.
Related to any matter concerning this? Do we have any?
Brought in 3 bales or 2 bales allocating on that lot. Oh, I know that, you know, and I just noticed it's not hidden between a fence and a knock on the door, or does somebody knock on the door? Mercy. Right across, and there were 3 deer eating there. And then when I go to town, if somebody hasn't slept,
Time when I go by there.
they come, somebody's gonna get hurt.
And